G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk everything combat rogue loot priority for phase 1. I'm going to run through all the biggest upgrades in Naxxramas, where it comes from Malagos or Sartharian. Run you through what items you should consider putting high up on your priority if you do some kind of loot priority sheet, or you send a list to your officers, or you're in a TKP guild or a loot council guild and you want to know what is a really important upgrade for you, and this is exactly what you're after. We're going to run through top 3 items for high priority, medium priority, and low priority. Now, a few things to clarify before we get going. This is not a definitive list. This is assuming that you're in a full bis, full pre-raid bis setup. So take everything with a grain of salt, apply it to your own individual circumstances and your current gear sets. If you don't have a particularly strong neck piece or you don't have a particularly strong belt, then what I'm suggesting will be less or more relevant depending on what you've got. Also really important to be maintaining your hit caps, your expertise caps. So those are the top things you need to consider. But again, this is a really good baseline just to increase your own knowledge and for you to then go off and apply to your own individual circumstances. But without harping on too long, if you do like this kind of video, if you do like rogue content, if you've been enjoying my content on my channel lately, do consider subscribing. It means a lot to me. It helps out the channel a lot and it lets me know what kind of content you are enjoying. So with that out of the way, let's go straight into high priority. Now I've put in Drape of the Deadly Foe, Chest Guard of the Recluse, and Calamity's Grasp. Drape of the Deadly Foe is an incredibly strong cloak. There aren't a lot of alternatives available, which is what makes it so strong. A lot of the items that are really good, but I'm putting in medium and low priority, which you'll see, is simply from the fact that there are just reasonable alternatives to them, and cloak is not one of them. On top of not having any particular good alternatives, it is also incredibly contested. It's bis for all physical DPS. So your warriors, your DKs, your ferals, your rets, your hunters, you name it, it's bis for them. So if you were after Drape of the Deadly Foe, you had a really shitty cloak, then definitely put this one up as your number 1 priority, number 2 or number 3 for sure. Chest Guard of the Recluse, drops off Malagos, item level 226, just a giga stacked item in terms of stats that we're after. Has just a ludicrous amount of attack power, and the expertise is incredibly valuable. Getting expertise capped if you're combat or mutilate can be a bit of a task. It can be a bit of a juggling act with the gear, especially in pre-raid gear. So if you can get this in the first couple of weeks, it will really help out your stat budget and will allow you to not have to gem so much or put on a weaker piece of gear just so that you are maintaining expertise cap. Calamity's Grasp, I've put it at number 1, or not number 1, but high priority. But I will say that there is a huge caveat to that. If you are the only combat rogue, now I don't know too much about spell hands. I believe they go a spell power main hand. But if you had just traditional enhancement shaman, you wouldn't put this as your number 1 priority. If you have you're the only combat rogue, it would be a waste of TKP. It would be a waste of a number 1 spot. So if those circumstances apply to you, definitely don't put Calamity's Grasp at number 1, or high priority, I should say. But it is, in saying that, if there is a lot of competition, maybe you've got 2 or 3 rogues, you're both going combat, we're all going combat, definitely put it at your high priority. It's an insane item and is the biggest single DPS upgrade that you're going to get in the phase over what would be a pre-raid bis option of Greed. But yeah, so medium priority, Leggings of the Honored. If you were the only combat rogue, Leggings of the Honored would be a great one to put up in your high priority. Heaps of amazing stats. The hit rating is really nice. And the reason why we put it so high up on the priority is the tier legs are pretty rubbish for combat. We really want to be getting Leggings of the Honored. Obviously, we only run 2 pieces of tier. that being the helm and the shoulders. So getting leggings of the Honored will just make things a lot easier and is a massive step up from your Gold Hide leggings. Now I put Favor of the Dragon Queen here. Just a really ridiculously contested item similar to what we had in the previous slide of Java the Deadly Foe. Favor of the Dragon Queen is bis for all physicals and all casters, as well as certain healers and tanks as well. Realistically, the healers and tanks are not going to get this before the DPS classes. They have pretty reasonable alternatives, and in comparison, it would be better placed in the hands of either a caster or a physical DPS. In saying that, there are some pretty good alternatives to Favor of the Dragon Queen, so feel free not to go out of your way and put Favor of the Dragon Queen there. Something that you'll just have to toss up based off your own gear sets, but I like to put it up there because it is a really, really nice item, and the gem slot is obviously a really nice bonus as well. Not too many necks out there that are actually good that also have a gem slot. Now I've put tier here, which might be a little bit of a yoo-hoo moment, but I really like it in combination with Chestguard of the Recluse. Having those two items puts you really, really in a great spot with your expertise rating. So I highly recommend, if you do have Chestguard of the Recluse, or you're planning to put Chestguard of the Recluse quite high up in your priority, you also pair that nicely with a tier helm. Not much to say other than that. It's just the expertise and in combination with the chest, just puts you in a sweet spot. So for low priority, we have Frosted Adroit Handguards, Surge Needle Ring, and Dawnwalkers. Now, there's a bit of explanation as to why we put these on the list where we do. Frosted Android Handguards are, a great item, but you're more than welcome to put, Frosted Android Handguards in place of Favor for the Dragon Queen if you wanted. That's a nice one that you can swap around. Just really, really nice stats. Not too much to say about them. The tier gloves that we do have from the Badges of Heroism are a pretty good alternative until you get Frosted Android Handguards, so I don't like to put them particularly high up. Surge Needle Ring, again, you can buy this if you weren't doing it in your guild run for the first couple of weeks, or you just wanted to take an off week, maybe you missed a raid lockout. You can go ahead and just buy this if you really wanted to, but again, you'll be dropping a fat stack on top of that, and maybe that money would be better spent on a Dark Moon card Greatness. But yeah, just a really solid item. And there are a lot of ring alternatives, so again, it's not a super high priority. The one from the Valor Emblems is very, very close in comparison, and the one that drops from Nax, which escapes me, again, is very, very close. And why we put Dawnwalkers here, if we have Chestguard of the Recluse and we have Tier Helm, we no longer use the expertise rating from the Slayer's Boots. So we would be using, most likely as soon as we get those two, we'll drop the Slayer Boots, we'll use Belt and Braces ideally. And then, we need a decent alternative. Obviously, you have the Argent Crusade ones, which maybe tie you over until then. But the Dawnwalkers are the best option, excuse me, the best option outside of that. And items that I do not recommend putting priority on, tier shoulders, simply for the fact that these can be bought from Emblems of Valor, which you will get from just doing your raids, so you will just get this naturally over time. Do not bother wasting any kind of priority on them. Sinner's Bindings and Stalk Skin, again, we're using Slayer in an ideal world, so there's no point in putting these anywhere up there on the priority list because Slayer is just so good. That set bonus is awesome. And Web to Death. Web Death, again, it's up to you. Librarian's Paper Cutter is really good. And as a combat rogue, realistically, the Assassination Rogue would get this first up. In my opinion, I'm Assassination Rogue, so I could be kind of biased. But this would go in the main hand for an Assassination Rogue. And with Librarian's Paper Cutter, if you're offhand, you're in pretty good hands until then. But again, if you wanted to put Web Death in place of Favor of the Dragon Queen, that's another easy swap out. Some items you don't see on here, which maybe you wouldn't prioritize. Grim Toll, although a good trinket, is bis for a lot of classes, so not really any need to put it there. When you have things like Mirror of Truth, when you have things like Dark Moon card Greatness, there's no real need to be putting this kind of high up there. Fury of the Five Flights, Grim Toll should really be going to the Feral Druids, your Warriors, your frost decays before it goes anywhere near a rogue. But yeah, super concise video today for you guys. I just wanted to get this out ahead of Naxxramas so you have a good idea of what you're looking at when you go into your first couple of IDs. If you like the content, like I said before, do consider subscribing, dropping a quest list video for all the ones that drop emblems of heroism, how to look them up so you can go through and knock all those out really easily. We'll also run you through a quest chain in Icecrown that is awesome that I did the other day that netted me well over 30 emblems of heroism. So look out for that one. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Appreciate you all. I'll catch you in the next one.